Cam Latu. I hated this draft pick. I didn't like it at all when they made it. I felt like they reached on a tight end who's not that athletic. He runs like a 4.8. So I watched him really close today. He never gets the ball in 11 on 11s, ever. And you could hold that against him, although on this team, Kyle Shanahan, basically determines who gets the ball. And if he doesn't call specific plays where Latu is the intended primary receiver, he's probably not going to get the ball very often. So just judging players on whether they get targeted isn't fair, although it could be part of the picture. It's not necessarily the whole picture. So I wanted to watch the one-on-ones today. I've been focused on the O-line, D-line because that's violent and fun. And the closest, it feels very like translatable to real football. Like they're really, you know, he's really rushing the quarterback. He's really trying to block him. They're really wearing pads, like in a helmet. It's very real. So I like watching that as opposed to everything else in practice. But I wanted to watch the tight ends and safeties today just to get a look at Cam Latu before I wrote him off. And I have to say he's a good route runner. He may not be fast, but neither is Ross Dwelley. Ross Dwelley's a good route runner. Latu's probably as good, better, and he's faster. So he has skills. He moves well at the top of his route. He's got a little finesse, a little bit of shake. You don't have to be super fast. Jawan Jennings the same way. He's got a little shake and finesse at the top of his routes. He gets open. He beat George Odom. But I think what's most interesting was the one-on-one blocking drills, because I think this is why they drafted Cam Latu. You got to remember, the Niners, in their minds, Kyle's mind, there's one reason they lost to the Eagles and didn't win the Super Bowl. And that reason is backup tight end Tyler Croft, who's no longer on the team. In Kyle's mind, he called a perfectly reasonable play. In fact, not just a reasonable play, a great play, because Brandon Ayuk was open against James Bradbury. But Tyler Croft blew a perfectly reasonable block. In Kyle's mind, he should have been able to block Hassan Reddick, or at least push him around the edge long enough to give Brock Purdy time to step up in the pocket and make the throw. But that didn't happen because Tyler Croft whiffed. And now he's not on the team anymore. So he's the new Jaquaski Tart. It's all your fault. What do? They draft Cam Latu. And you're thinking, well, let's judge him as a receiver, right? Wrong. How many targets is he going to get this year? 7? Over-under is at 7.5 because they don't need him to catch the ball. Where would he be in the pecking order, right? The pecking order is Ayuk, Debo, Kittle, McCaffrey, Jennings, Juszczyk, Gray, Ray, like Jordan Mason. Like Cam Latu might be 10th on the pecking order, somewhere between 7 and 10 of people who need to get targeted in games. So forget him catching the ball. If he's there to catch the ball, if people literally forget to cover him, and even then he might drop it. But where the reason they drafted him is for his blocking. Yes, Kyle Shanahan would draft a tight end in round 3 to block. Of course he would. And it dawned on me when I watched him in pass protection against George Odom. Made it look easy. Now, George Odom made Hassan Reddick, but clearly Cam Latu is a willing blocker and a good one, better than Tyler Croft. And so he could improve their run game. He could improve their play action game. And I think that's how Kyle Shanahan's going to judge him. I think that's the skill he's bringing to the team. He's essentially replacing Charlie Werner as the designated blocking tight end. If you think about it, the only reason Tyler Croft was on the field for that fateful play is that Charlie Werner is so awful in his blocking tight end role. They had to get Tyler Croft to fill in. But Croft is gone now. Werner replaced Garrett Selleck, right? Garrett Selleck was the original blocking tight end in this offense. Garrett Selleck in Atlanta when Kyle was coaching there, it was Levine Toilolo. So there's a specific role you're thinking of, and that's Latu now. Garrett Selleck, it's the Garrett Selleck role in the offense. It's the Levine Toilolo role. They're not there to catch passes ever, unless you literally forget about them and they're wide freaking open. Otherwise, they're there to block. Pass protection, run blocking. It's a role in the offense. That's what Cam's there for. That's how you probably should judge him. You took him in round 3, so I'm thinking, this guy should be like the full package, but I don't think Kyle cares. From Kyle's perspective, they have the best team in the league. They have George Kittle. They have very few needs. That's why they drafted a freaking kicker before Latu. So yeah, if they could take a kicker in round 3, they could take a blocking tight end in round 3, right? Yes, and they did. He's a blocking tight end. And today, he might be a good blocker. So that's good. But I think that's the reason. blocking, which is important. Jason says, what backup player is pushing for starter role? Jordan Mason. He's so good. Christian McCaffrey better not miss any time because Jordan Mason is just so good. Great receiver, great route runner, and he doesn't just run you over. Like he's got the most agility. He can just stop. He could be running full speed and just stop on 2 feet and then just make like a 90-degree cut. He's good. Not Jair Brown. Deshaun Gibson's too good. Jack Coletto. Watch out, Kyle Juszczyk. Trey Lance. With Hargrave, will Hargrave improve our run defense? No. Go talk to Philly fans, Eagle fans. They'll say, look, Hargrave's a great player, but he wasn't good against the run, and the Eagles weren't good against the run. And they may not have the pass rush they had last year, although they're still going to have a great pass rush. But they should have a better run defense because Jalen Carter's so much bigger. Like if you look at Javon Hargrave, you can see why he'd be a really good pass rusher because he's kind of small for the position. He's a little bit like Aaron Donald. Low to the ground, small for the position, compact, strong, low pad level. Really hard to block when retreating. But when it's time to run the ball and you want to combo block someone, oh, it's him. You want your guard and center or your guard and tackle to double team someone and move them. It ain't Armstead. It ain't 6'7", 3-something Armstead. It's 6'1", 290 Hargrave. It ain't Kinlaw unless it ain't healthy Kinlaw. So yeah, I think that's going to be interesting. Like a lot of times against certain teams, if you know they want to run the ball on running downs, don't have them in there. Save them for passing downs. Good question. David W. says, how is the right side of the O-line shaping up? I'm not a big fan. I think it's okay at best. But let's see during the preseason. It's hard to judge O-line during training camp. What is going on with Robert Beal Jr.? He's hurt. He's in street clothes, which I think is one reason the Niners signed Taco Charlton, who has a great name. It's a real person. What do you think his real name is? Taco Charlton. Let's see. What's his real name? Oh, damn. Vidante. That's a good name. I can see why he would go by Taco, though, because I just read it the first time and it took a second. Vidante. Where's he from? Ohio? Okay. Pickerington. That's a name. Pickerington, Ohio. He's almost 29 years old. He's been in the league since 2017. He has 11.5 sacks. He's been on Dallas, Miami, Kansas City, Pittsburgh, Chicago. Man, he's been around. If the Niners get something out of Taco Charlton, they got to give Chris Kasarik a lifetime contract. That's crazy. Vidante. That's a good name. I like it. No one wants to know about Vidante, though, do they? Do they, though?